Next panel up is Mining and Ethics. We have Dr. Toby Bailey. Dr. Bailey is CEO at Bailey Holdings. Good morning or afternoon.
Well, good. Still good morning for me.
Very early morning for me as well. And we also have Carl Seelig, CEO at Chain BLX. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Thelma.
And we also have Mike Butcher. Mike Butcher is our moderator for today. He is editor-at-large at TechCrunch and co-founder of Pathfounder Editorial Events and reports series on impact innovation. Good morning, Mike. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Great, thank you.
All right, over to you, Mike.
Well, thank you very much for joining us at Digital Davos. I'm delighted to be joined by a panel where we're going to be discussing ethical mining and the tokenization of mining, because for obvious reasons, mining has been controversial in many respects for the last few years, but it's fascinating and interesting to see that there are now projects like the ones we're about to discuss, which are aiming at creating an ethical mining environment. Just to introduce again our panel, we've got Dr. Toby Bailey. Now, Dr. Bailey was first developed a unique set of international lean management business models and asset management, financial and trading structures, as well as integrated parts of a global gold, diamond, oil and gas trade hedge fund consortium. And he now heads up Borg Global Holdings. We're also joined by Carl Seelig from Chainblocks. Chainblocks assists companies with technology and consultancy services in their business development needs, reaching from marketing and complex business negotiation to due diligence and arbitration and mediation services. And in particular, in this context, is involved in tokenization of services such as mining. Perhaps Carl, if I could turn to you first. What are some of the methods to control ethics involving blockchain in the mining world?
In the mining world, we have a lot of problems. First of all, I have to say, not everyone in the mining world is unethical. Most of the people in the world are, thanks God, ethical. So we're speaking about the unethical behavior, which sometimes happen when you see the pictures, when we mine lithium or something, like we see the children's working. This heart-pain pictures, this is unethical. So with a blockchain, it doesn't matter if it's blockchain or something. We have to control the supply chain. We have to control where the material comes from, how the material is used, and that basically there's a minimum of safety that there's a minimum of health care, that there is no child labor, there's no forced labor, that minimum of human behavior is done in the mines. And this you can do only when you know where the product comes from. Of course, why we use blockchain is decentralized and everyone sees where it comes from. And so using, for example, what we do in this project, Ethereum tokens, it's a wild distributed ledger. Everyone can see that everything is going right, and it fosters a trust in this eco-environment.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I'd like to get into more detail shortly with you, but perhaps we could turn to Dr. Bailey. Now, Dr. Bailey, why did you see it as important to develop this kind of project in this sector?
Interestingly, that throughout my mining history since 2009, most of global mining has been, like Carl said, civilized or ethical. In Canada, in the United States, it's been that way, getting away from using arsenic and cyanide. But as we get to the lower regions, Mexico, Central America, South America, Africa, Asia, and Europe, we find that ethics many times are not used. We learned so much of the Zimbabwe with the Kimberley crisis. Many sanctions have been put on parts of the world because they used child labor and was funding coups. But with the construct that Carl created and what Borg Ethical Mining Association is going to be doing, we'll be finding ways to bring mining technologies, mining know-how, equipment, and the ability to have investors invest and pay them back through the future revenues from the gold, diamonds, or rare earth metals produced.
I see, but Dr. Bailey, what is going on in terms of how is mining done ethically now, and how do you think it's going to change as a result of tokenization?
Amazingly, mining is done currently now in ethical locations with real mining equipment, uh, excavators, bulldozers, uh, uh, trucks, whereas it's done unethically, with picks, shovels, and hard ways of getting underground that could collapse the caverns and caves. So what Borg is looking to do with this is to bring the ability for them to ethically mine without using chemicals that will tear up the environment, by having retention ponds that are clear, having potable water that can be reusable as you mine, and being able to help not only the miners themselves, but the community and the country as a whole.
Fascinating. Carl Seelig, what in particular does your project bring that manages to create this oversight with the tokenization? Is it applicable to existing mining operations, or is it only going to be applicable to new ones?
It's applicable to existing mining operations. You can see it more like ISO certification, which we 20 years ago went through in the medical standard in Europe to get a certain level of quality. What we do in ethical mining, we basically ask the mines to keep records. We ask for self-inspection, which we give guidelines to it. Equally, like by the ISO certification, there will be standard operational procedure. We ask that they keep employment lists, that we see how much benefits they pay, and all this SOPs, standard operational procedures. The main advantage right now, they are on the blockchain. So we can see in certain level if the standard operation procedures are followed. When you have just a piece of paper and nobody follows it, it doesn't help. And it can be still done unethical. What is by a normal mining operation, okay, there is a little bit of a bureaucracy, but the bureaucracy is standardized. And we see also basically how much material was mined. We see for how much the material was sold. We see how much from this income was distributed to the actual labor. And this is one of the main things. We see also, we go in a global perspective. We ask, where are the next jobs? How are the housing for the employees? Is there portable water for the employees? Is there safety instruction? We see also how much the mine is spending on safety gear. We see how much the mine are spending on innovation in technology. And this combined with the SOPs and with the blockchain technology gives us a really good view if they are really compliant with this, because we tokenize the product, the supply chain, and we give also the option to ride derivatives, futures on future earnings, so the mines get financed. So it's a whole ecosystem, but basically it's following the ISO certification. No great new idea, just best thing is you take standard ideas, Mike, you know it, you combine existing products in a new product and you have a valuable business model and idea.
I see. Dr. Bailey, what's your view about how the industry is going to accept these kinds of transparent protocols? Is your industry ready to shift into this new world, or is it still lagging behind?
It's definitely ready, Mike, because in the past, we've seen that many mines have been shut out because they could not provide the capability financially to compete. And with this new model that Carl has created, that Borg has implemented, we'll basically look at the mining to market life cycle, the cycle of identifying the metals. And we've done this because we now acquired a company that has GPS and satellite technology that will help find these pools of gold, diamonds, oil, or gas. And then once we identify it, we now explore it, exploit it. We now take it to market, create bullion, create trading structures, develop opportunities for these miners to get paid well, and to use technology to do commerce locally. Now they can have the local merchants benefit, from these tokenized uh, deposits onto their cell phones that will allow them now to create local commerce before it leaves the actual city, province, or country.
I see, but Dr. Bailey, is it the case though that this could be technology could be applied to relatively small mines, or does it require a certain size of mine?
It could be a small mine, and ironically, as these claims grow, you start with one mine, and looking at the African and South American region, once you start creating one, word gets out. It grows and grows and grows. So now the same mining equipment that can be used for one can be used for a group of claims. So as it grows and grows and grows, the opportunity for Borg ethical mining and the mining structure in those countries become more stabilized.
I see. And Carl, what's the reception been so far? Have you rolled this technology, this platform out or are you poised to launch? Where is it in its development life cycle?
We are right now in the development life cycle in basically the testing phase. We have the protocols ready so that we can roll it out quite quickly. We think the rollout can start within the next 2 weeks. Then, of course, like every product, it will be rolled out slowly, and there will be first some manual steps. We will not have everything right away on the blockchain. We will first start with entering in ledgers which we have a Merkle tree, and then we hash it and we put just the event on the blockchain, and slowly we move everything over to the blockchain. So this is the first life cycle. The second thing is we already have negotiations with the telecom industries in several countries, and we achieve that basically we have access to payments, and this is also payments over the cell phone. Why this seems strange, like for us in the Western world, most of the people don't have a bank account in developing countries. They have a cell phone. Everyone has a cell phone, but they don't have a bank account. So a lot of times mobile payment is the way for them to go. And this, to facilitate mobile payments, is helping to pay the miners and helping us to track also the movement of a token so that it's ethically deployed. So let's say I get paid a part in mobile payment, and you see I spend the whole money in the shop owned by the mine, and then it goes directly in cash. And then you say there must be something wrong. As well as this mobile payment allows then a further development in the economy around the mine. So also when the mine stops producing, or when it starts producing, it allows for microloans. It allows for people around the mine, for the family members to take loans, probably for a little shop. I open a little shop around the mine. Probably entrepreneurial spirit, when there's money, when there's opportunity and access, people become innovative. It can be from a person which takes a truck and says, I move the people to this little beach on Sunday and I catch for this money. And so there's a lot of things which will develop around, and they just need a little microloan to buy a truck or something like this. So this is, sorry, I was going off topic, like always, Mark.
No, but it's interesting. So, but you're saying that it sounds to me like what you're saying is that because of the tokenization of the mining operations, you're talking about payments to employees that via mobile payments because of the tokenization. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is possible over our system. Of course, when it's ethical mining, it will be the Dr. Dhopi to decide how much it's forced from the system on the mines, and we give the possibilities. We provide the possibilities that we could provide this mobile system for payment, and that people can trade, basically use it. Yeah. Of course, it can be also done that there's a local exchange and directly paid in money, or we just control the ledger over the tokenization and they get the cash. I'm the creator of the infrastructure. Dr. Toby is the experienced person which I know concerning mining. He knows also how to implement it, and I think it will be an implementation phase. You cannot change everything at the beginning. It has to be a slow change. If not, it doesn't function. I don't know.
I see, but Dr. Bailey, do you think the industry is ready to accept this kind of technology? And also, what's your view on the regulatory aspect? Obviously, there's often been controversy around tokens as securities with the SEC and the regulatory aspect of blockchains. What's your view about the regulatory aspect and how valid this operation is going to be in those terms?
Well, just like every cryptocurrency must have a basis of the structure, this will have the basis of the actual minerals themselves. So there's no argument. When you have smoke and mirrors, there's always this blue sky opportunity from the SEC. But on hardcore metals that have been validated by a qualified person with a national instrument report, you now have solid assets. And Borg also backs it up by having a depository vault in Newport Beach, California, where our UL listed vault now has safekeeping receipts that validate the assets that are there. So as we look at this, we see that China wants everything that's in Africa. Everybody does. And now we're looking to find ways through ethical mining to break them away from that independence, to now create long-lasting relationships that they can negotiate on their own as indigenous miners, whether it be Africa, whether it be South America, whether it be Central America or Mexico. For the first time, they'll be able to control their environment. And yes, to answer your question about the SEC, by having a strong, regulated, backed asset that's underground, that's safe until it's mined, we now, through mining, can control the market before there actually is a market.
I see. All right. What about the way that this operation can dovetail into the real economy? Is there a way for Carl? Is there a way for the platform to be able to dovetail into existing real-world economy banking systems, for instance?
Yes, the platform is able to. Tokens are already in the real world. We have funds which buy tokens. We have all implementation from Bitcoin, and all the blockchain instruments are sometimes already treated in the real world. I mean, you can go and buy a cup of coffee, and we all know about the $17 million pizza which somebody paid with a Bitcoin. But it is our platform, of course. We have over funds right away the possibilities to go in the real world. We have the real world possibility also to write contracts, and this is the most important thing. People can write future contracts over our platform. So this allows even monetization for the future to give the mines money just on the future prospect over this platform, over this tokenization. And it allows then also the local economy. It's basically a 3-layer platform. The first layer is the layer which interacts for the future. The middle layer is the actual transportation, which is the supply chain and the exchange of money when the future and the option market close. And the third one is the control of that human resources are getting paid, that and that also all the, as it is, standard operational procedures are followed. The interaction from these 3 platforms makes the whole ecosystem stable, because we all know that when we would go only in derivatives, that we would have high volatility, and it's not a speculative platform, it's a trading platform. We didn't mention, we didn't intend to create a speculation platform where people go and buy some mining assets and quick sell it. It's a business-to-business platform and investment platform for longer term, not for short-term day trading. But as I say, you develop something, you never know where it finishes. I can only say where it was developed for, and we hope it's used for.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you never know where these projects end up. But Dr. Bailey, I noticed that that one of the areas you'll be testing this out first will be in Ghana. Is that correct?
Yes, it is Ghana. And we still have other parts that are with wonderful resources. Nigeria has iridium, platinum, and other rare earth metals. Other parts of Africa has graphene, graphite used in high-grade electronics. We have lithium used in the batteries, a plethora of opportunities that we'll have available. But I wanted to segue on Carl's comment too about the real world. Part of Borg's structure is an investment bank and a mining bank, where we now will hedge upon the fact that as they're producing these gemstones, rare earth metals, diamonds, and gold, they'll be purchased by Borg and sold or traded on the open market. Also, as an investment bank, we create what's called standby letters of credit, ways of creating banking instruments that they can never have, but we can use as an asset to create new money. They can do now what we call low-hanging fruit projects, hotels, hospitals, clinics, apartments, infrastructure, all without getting a 10-year loan from Russia, from Europe, or from China. This now allows them to produce a product that will not only take care of them locally, but will now allow them and their governments to have the ability to have loans created from their own assets to benefit themselves.
I see. Right. So that's an added benefit to the whole idea, correct?
Yes, very much.
Right.
So it creates a complete chain from start to finish that never ends, because once money is made and it's into the market, you go right back now to mining and creating the whole cycle over and over again.
I see. Carl, there's also an interesting aspect to this, how applying this technology, in that I gather you can do greater tracking of environmental impact. Could you tell us and unpack that a little bit for us now?
Yes, of course. Environmental ethics, ethical mining is not only about the really bad players with child laborers. It goes far beyond this, which Dr. Bailey, and I apologize when I say Dr. Toby, because internally in the firm, we call him Dr. Toby. So I apologize for this.
No problem. No problem.
this.
I answer to both, no problem.
Sorry. Okay. What Dr. Mehdi says, Mike, I lost just it was an environmental impact. Yes, the environmental impact we have to control, and of course, this is also done over SOPs and over latest technologies which we acquired through strategic partnering as a consultancy firm, which is from satellite mining, from extraction protocols, which allows basically pinpoint to make minimum Earth displacement, to other firms which are ready to replant immediately and to clean up. So this is a whole ecosystem from firms which exist and which is a development, a business development firm we have contact with and which want to work with. And it's also nice because with the first project starting in Ghana, we found already people working in Ghana on the same project, which then immediately we had some missing pieces and they had the other missing pieces, and we were able to put them right away together to have an effect. And we also know from communication with government officials, and is in Ghana, there are a lot of, they call them kings. I don't want to disrespect them kings, but there are like several hundreds of them, and local kings, but they're community leaders. And we saw also that they endorse it. Ghana is really concerned, for example, about, Ghana is Switzerland from Africa. I mean, it's safe, it's nice. They go against perjury in the forest. They want to make everything stable. And now they are in the level where it goes more about ambiental protection. And we have all the tools over the SOPs on the blockchain to do ambiental protection and the technical tools from satellite mining, from satellite imaging to extraction, to cleaning up already Earth, which was polluted. So this is a whole ecosystem which is in place and which we imply.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
Dr. Bailey, do you see this? What's your comment on that?
Well, the comment on that is interesting. Africa is a large playground. There's 54 countries, of which Nigeria, with 208 million people, is the largest. But Ghana, as Carl said, is probably the most technologically structured because it has the basic structure of what we call the PMMC. So they actually do a lot of the marketing and reselling of gold to the world stage. But as this starts to create, there's so many places. Can you imagine 54 different countries, all with multiple provinces, with multiple governors, multiple community leaders, that this can happen. So already we have a ton of people ready to put their hands up saying, we are willing to become ethical or work our way to becoming accredited so that we can have investment funds flow to exploit the materials and have Borg as the partner to basically either resell or partner with them with their production or help them with investment advice on how to leverage it to control their own future destiny.
I see. And finally, Carl, and we've only got a couple of minutes left, but Carl, could you just tell us about how you're just in a testing phase right now, but where does the project go from now? What sort of rollout do you expect? And how do you can see this expanding internationally in Africa and abroad over the next few months and years?
So the roadmap is right now we are in the phase of accreditation of mines. We didn't speak about our accreditation protocol where mines submit the paperwork where we are looking at mines. Then with this accreditation of the mines, which is basically, we have already the paperwork. The accreditation will start right after this conferences and the inauguration of the tequila party tonight. So tomorrow we will start with the accreditation of the mines. We will also then start to test drive the blockchain part of this, which we are right now experimenting with. We then will go with a rollout in strategic with the guidance from Dr. Bailey, which mines he thinks are the most appropriate, because let's face it, it's also a business. It's not only about ethics, it's also a business. When probably there is a mine which we say like, oh, this is great, Dr. Bailey will say to me, hey, Carl, look where the mine is located. You cannot bring even material to this mine. And there is nothing in the ground, which is really for us worse to do. I'm not in the mining industry, I'm in the technology industry. So I'm heavily relying there on Dr. Bailey, sorry. So the roadmap, I think we will have the first 3 mines in by the end of this month. We will be further ahead and full implementation we could expect by within a year, because it's a staged rollout. Everything is a staged rollout. I have the experience from my old startup telecom. We began with a ringback tone replacement. It took till we had voicemail transcript and
exactly.
it took a year.
So it takes a long time. I'm sure it sounds like a fascinating project, and what I think we can certainly conclude from this discussion is that transparency in mining is a good thing, and it's quite clear that blockchain technology is and tokenization of assets is going to really help to create this a much greater transparency in ethical mining. But for now, this is the unfortunately the end of our panel. Now we've run out of time, but I want to thank Dr. Toli Bailey from Borg Global Holdings, and Carl Seelig from Chainblocks, and from me, Mike Butcher from TechCrunch. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Mike.